Hello, America. Welcome to Common Sense. I'm Wendy Bell. So, that insurrection the Uniparty and their publicist friends in the corporate media called January 6th turns out was a lot of things. Thanks to the release of tens of thousands of hours of Capitol surveillance and cell phone video, we've all gotten to see for ourselves how riotous those MAGA Republicans were or weren't. You know, the video's out there, and I'm going to let you make your own conclusions about what you see or do not. It's the deep state's take on the video's release, however, that we find particularly interesting today, because at some point you'd think these news operations and elected public servants would maybe look in the mirror and change their ways, but you would think wrong. Who better to discuss all this bias and corruption than today's panel of talk radio hosts from all across America? Hey, we have a new addition to our show. Super excited to have Melanie Collette. She is the host of Money Talk with Melanie on 98.7 The Coast in New Jersey. Great to have you. Also, Wendy Patrick, a career attorney and host of Today with Dr. Wendy on KCBQ The Answer, and the host of the Ari Hoffman Show on 570 AM KVI, I should say, and writer for the Post-Millennial Ari Hoffman. Guys, great to have you. All right, let's do it. I want to get started with this gaslighting, right? You know you've struck a nerve when Swamp Thing Mitch McConnell hits the hot mic to tell us what we watched on camera wasn't really his lived experience on January 6th. I want you to listen.
It was a mistake, in my view, for Fox News to depict this in a way that's completely at variance with what our chief law enforcement official here at the Capitol thinks.
Ari, these folks really don't want us to believe our lying eyes. No, believe what I have on my paper here. Jump in.
Well, the news came out today from CNN, of all places, that apparently so many of these members of the House Select Committee that were supposed to investigate this whole thing never even watched the footage. In fact, most of the members, if not all of the members of the House, never actually watched the footage. So what kind of investigation was it? Look, it could be multiple things at one time. You had this violent riot outside the front of the building, and you had grandmas being given tours of the building in the backside of the building. All of this could have happened at once. But my question is, the left is always the one saying it was a mostly peaceful protest during the summer of love in 2020. Why aren't they saying, oh, this was mostly peaceful, aside from what happened at the front? The reason they're going after this so hard is because they know it destroys their narrative of an insurrection. When you're seeing the QAnon shaman being shown around by law enforcement, when they held Brian Sicknick, the officer who died, up as a victim of this, and it turns out he died from a stroke the following day. It took the New York Times a month to make that correction. This pokes holes in all of their narrative, and they are desperate to fix it because what they really want is Joe Biden to be able to run for re-election on January 6th.
Right. I wish you were ever prepared, Ari. You know, maybe next time. Almost as boring and contrived as Mitch McConnell, right, Mr. You have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price, Chuck Schumer. Kind of a bit upset that the videos, which Capitol Police signed off on before they even aired to the public, were presented to us. Here he is. Watch.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. With contempt for the facts, disregard of the risks, and knowing full well he was lying to his audience, Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection.
Melanie, sister, I got to tee you up here, girlfriend. Why is transparency so dang dangerous to these people?
And you know what's very curious about his entire comment about how he said it was a lengthy segment? You know why it was lengthy, Chuck? Because he showed the whole video. Unlike what you people did during the J9 hearings that are laughably referred to as hearings. He showed the entire video, the entire context. And you know, the most egregious part about this is he, Tucker Carlson, since he was mentioned, highlighted the part about the shaman who is in jail. I cannot recall his real name, but he is in jail for 4 years over this. And his attorney never got access to these full tapes. That is a miscarriage of justice. It it was they lied to the entire country, but they have also taken away the freedoms of these people who were at the Capitol on January 6th. And it is really just a terrible, terrible thing. And we should all be afraid as Americans when you can take away someone's rights on really what is a false premise, and you don't even provide his attorney with all of the information.
I agree.
That is absolutely
Right on.
shameful.
I agree with you 100%, Melanie. Jacob Chansley, you know, he's been in jail for 771 days, you guys. Think about that, okay? All right, so Wendy, you are an attorney. Why are these January 6 defendants still in jail? Because the video I saw didn't show violent extremists. It showed some folks milling around the Capitol, almost as reverent tourists, welcomed in by police. They were kind of amazed by the building, taking selfies. I didn't see destroying property. I know stuff happened. There's other video. But dozens of Americans were thrown away into prison. I mean, do you see a case for malicious prosecution, since many of these defendants, all of them, weren't allowed to see the video that could have exonerated them?
Well, I'm going to build on the excellent foundation that was laid by you and my two co-panelists in recognizing this as a moving target. This scene had so many moving parts at once, and it went on for an extended period of time. You would almost have to dissect it frame by frame to see who's doing what when, in order to be able to shape this out in a fashion that you could prosecute it in a timely fashion. Nobody could do that, which is why obviously justice delayed. We always say it doesn't have to be justice denied, but we do still have people in jail for some of the more serious charges. Many have pled guilty. There are so many different types of crimes, Wendy, that have been committed here, some of which are righteous, some of which there's less evidence. And those are the ones I think that you see being attacked, or at least being scrutinized a little more carefully. You can't cherry pick scenes in order to justify charging different people with different things. You would have to hone in laser focused on the different people that you're going to charge. Now, one of the things that does is it also allows both sides to change the narrative. Because if you have two people viewing the same scene, there's a jury instruction that says they're going to see it differently. That's why you need multiple perceptions of everything. So it's complicated. That's my short answer, Wendy. It's very complicated.
Well, you know, and it becomes more complicated when the attorneys and the defendants aren't privy to the information as guaranteed. You know, Ari, there used to be this presumption of innocence until proven guilty. One of the most ridiculous narratives, and you brought it up at the beginning, was about the QAnon shaman, right? Jacob Chansley, dangerous terrorists, they said. But the video shows him being escorted, as you alluded, by officers, leading a prayer inside the chamber for those officers. I mean, he got 41 months for what? And what do you think what did you think when you saw what he did?
Well, here's the thing. I haven't seen the video of how he got into the building. For all we know, he shattered the glass, broke his way in. We don't know how he got in. The video that I saw, the only parts that I saw was him walking around the Capitol, and that may have been a de-escalation tactic by the police officers. But one thing's for sure, if he was just walking around the building and was let in by the Capitol Police, you may have him on trespassing, you may have him on restricted grounds, but that is the people's house, and he wouldn't have gotten 4 years. The question is, why wasn't this video shown to his attorneys? No matter who you are, even if you're a serial killer, you get disclosure of all the facts. Any attorney knows that, full disclosure. So why wasn't he afforded one of the most basic principles in our legal system?
Right on. And that's the scary part, I think, for all of us, how far these people will go. All right, guys, hang tight, because we have another segment coming up.